Sports TV, man. That's my dude. I rolls with him.
You heard what the man said. It's Flight Sports TV.
Flight Sports TV, that's where it's at.
Flight Sports TV.
What's going on, people? It's Flight Sports TV. I appreciate y'all for checking with me. I already know what it is. We're back with another one of them things. We got a lot of things to discuss. We got a lot of things to break down. We got the Charlotte Hornets. They are just annihilating the Chicago Bulls. The game was such a wrap, I almost didn't even do a post game because the Charlotte Hornets had their foot all up there. Pause. But let's get into it. Right now, we got ourselves a great game. It's 100-71. Like I said, the Hornets are just dogging out these Chicago Bulls. It's 100-71. Well, it's 100-74 after that big-time three from Montas Buzelis. Let's see if the Charlotte Hornets can continue to do them. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't even see Lamelo ball anymore for the rest of this game. We're going to break down Kobe White. He has the rock right now, picked up by Rob Dillingham. They kick it to Grant Williams for a three, and he's fouled. He's going to the line for 3 free throws. I'm going to give you some stat lines, ladies and gentlemen. Our newly acquired guard, Kobe White, in 14 minutes, he put up 10 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists, and a steal. This is the production that we are getting from a guy like Kobe White. And what I like about Kobe White is he's not coming here to take the reins from Lamelo. He's not coming here to compete for the starting job. He understands that he's a high-level role player. He's coming off the bench, and he's going to star in his role. A lot of people think just because you come off the bench, you can't star in your role. You're going to see Kobe White do that firsthand. This guy got the potential to put up 20, 30 on any given night. This is another domino. As I'm watching the Hornets, it's like they are just getting all of the facets of the game down. You have a number one option in LaMelo. You got a great young co-star with Brandon Miller. You got an elite rookie in Con Knipple. You got Miles Bridges, just the ultimate utility guy. You got and Miles give you 30-something, 20 plus any given night. What you getting from Musa, this dude right here is like, he playing like his life on the line. Colin Sexton throws up a three. He missed the rebound by Kobe White. Here we go. Grant Williams has the ball. He's maneuvering it. They kick it out to Green for 3, and that's money. The Hornets just can't miss. There is 106-74. This game is all she wrote. Melo won't be back into this game, but back to what I was saying with the Charlotte Hornets. Now you have a elite 6-man. That just takes it all. They have all of the weaponry in order to compete in the postseason. That's what the Charlotte Hornets have done when they have acquired Kobe White, and we are seeing it firsthand. They have every weapon possible to go up against any of these teams in the postseason and make the game interesting. Are they going to go on a playoff push? I don't know about all that. But are they going to be excited and on any given night they can knock off one of these teams? Absolutely. So we're going to see it firsthand. This is 106-76. Like I said, the Hornets are killing them. Melo is back in the game, surprisingly. I'm shocked that he doesn't have Melo in the game in the fourth quarter when this game was pretty much decided. Let's see how long Melo's going to be out there. Melo has the ball picked up by Montas. They kick it out to Moose, and Moose scores it. They was looking for a foul. Moose has just been active since he's been back. Shout out to Nate J84. We definitely did miss Diabate. We're going to get into what Diabate brought us. Montas with a big layup. Give credit to Diabate. 6.7 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks. If you've seen those, especially those pair of blocks he had, I think it happened in the second quarter. He just went up there and snatched up both of their shit. It was just crazy. This guy right here defensively is wild. Here you go, Musa with the rock at the top of the key, kicks it to Lamelo, 3-ball, top of the key, and that is off. Rebounded by Boozilis. Here comes Rob Dillingham. Rob Dillingham finally getting his shot. They kick it to Montage. Montage hits a big 3. So after the Charlotte Hornets pretty much, moved on, I could see Montage being that number 1. Here we go. Lamelo with the big floater is 110-81. Melo got 16 points, 6 of 16 from the field. That's what people don't understand. All Melo numbers are down, but yet the wins is just shot through the roof. I mean, that shows you the leadership of LaMelo. They have the rock. They kick it out to Giddey. Giddey kicks it to Dillingham for 3, and that's off. Rebounded by Grant Williams. Here comes Grant Williams. He has the ball. They kick it out to Sion James. Sion James has it. Sion kicks it out to Green for 3. Green scores it. It was that was a 3. 113-81. Josh Green got 9 points, 3 of 5 from the 3-point line. Here goes Dillingham, and he couldn't convert it. See, I like what I'm seeing from the Bulls too, because they got a nice collection of young talent. And I think the future gonna be bright for them too. They're missing a few holes. If you see it's so funny. The Hornets are starting. You see the development in the whole process. They're a lot more. It seems like they've accelerated the process, and you're watching other teams not so further along in their development. It's crazy because I remember where the Hornets was just here, where their development kind of slacked off a little bit. But nonetheless, it's 113-81. 8:10 to go in the fourth quarter. Here goes Green with it. Green finds Diabate. Green in the mid-range, and that's a bucket. 115-81. 8 minutes to go here in the fourth quarter. Josh Green with 11 points. Here we go with it. We got Diabate with it, and we got a break in the action. Look like we headed to a commercial break. It's 115-81. A great game going so far. The Hornets got this game in the bag. We got all access in the building. Dex, what's the deal? It's Flight Sports TV. We live. What's your thoughts on this game? We got Kobe White's debut. The Hornets is just dogging them. Talk to us.
Yes, sir. Shout out to Flight Sports TV, the machine, the voice of the voiceless, the people's champ, the hottest in the streets. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to everyone pulling up the Flight Sports TV to lend their voice, their sound, and let's up the decibels on this because the Charlotte Hornets is playing satisfying basketball, Flight. And I'm delighted to be able to share my thoughts on the Charlotte Hornets in a positive manner. I've been very pessimistic about the Charlotte Hornets, but tonight, I'm good.
Did you see Kobe White's performance so far? What do you think that you seen?
Yes, I was anticipating the appearance of Kobe White because you had let me know prior to the stream today that Kobe White will be making his debut. So it was somewhat of an anxious anticipation to see Kobe White hair bounce up and down in a uniform other than the Bulls. Shout out to C Red Nation. And I think Kobe White is going to be pretty decent if Charles Lee don't screw up the rotation, because the Charlotte is playing so good. It's almost paradoxical to say something ill about Charles Lee, but I mean, it's just so captain obvious that this guy sometimes doesn't have a clue and doesn't have a proper thermostat to read the temperature of the room. And if the announcers are saying it and the sideline reporter is questioning it, then why everybody jump on me when I observe it and highlight it and speak on it to the stream? I don't understand that. And that is his rotation. There's no reason under God's grace in heaven that he needs to play 11 players. The Charlotte Hornets flight, I'm talking about this rendition of the Charlotte Hornets, do not need to play 11 players. Once you get past Cole Brenner, Grant Williams, Josh Green, it seems like Charles Lee, in his egotistical ways, asks the bench who have the largest straw, or who have the longest straw, excuse me. And whoever shows the longest straw, okay, you go in. And there's no reason for the madness that he has displayed when it comes to his rotation. The team is too good, Flight. I'm saying Purple Baby knew what she was talking about when she talked about the Charlotte Hornets, I think first 7 players, how good they will be when everybody comes back. I really didn't see it. So I got to give it up to Purple Baby for opening my eyes to that. I didn't see it. I thought it was going to be another season of shambles, but I was 100% wrong so far. And if Charles Lee keep this up, trying to play 11 players, when the talent is not that strong, that deep, he's going to end up screwing this up. And I'm going to worry how Jeff Peterson is going to look at this, because too many people are saying he's doing something that's kind of unorthodox by playing so many players when your first 7 is supremely good and is ravishing the NBA and is ripping teams at home and on the road. And even though the Charlotte Hornets flight lost 1 winning streak, they continue on a record-setting winning streak by winning 8 in a row on the road, Flight. And for a young team with this kind of ambition, force, and power to be able to concentrate and focus on the road and get road wins, that says a lot about those players in those tennis shoes.
Yeah, most definitely. You're absolutely right about that. The Hornets, like I said, they completely destroyed the Chicago Bulls. It's just this game pretty much was a wrap early on in the third. You know, it looked like this shit was running away with this thing. I'm surprised we even seen. Oh my God, Bozilla Showtime. It's 119-85. There's 6 minutes remaining. You got the benches are unloaded. You know, especially for the Hornets. We even seen Pat Connaughton do a little bit of stuff too. I'm interested to see what happens with him as we get into potentially a playing scenario, playoffs. I think a guy like Connaughton is going to play dividends for us. You know, I can't wait to see what he brings, his veteran leadership. A guy like Pat Connaughton never even got an opportunity to put his fingerprints on the Hornets. It's a lot of conversations to be had with Charlotte, you know, because they're being very successful right now. But there's questions still that remain. They own the tiebreaker over the Atlanta Hawks. So with this win tonight, they should slide. I'm not sure what will happen with the Hornets. Let me check that Hawks game. I believe the Hawks play, and the Hawks actually won. So let me double check something. So they will still be in the 10th spot. They're going to eventually have to catch Atlanta, and then they will move to the 9th seed. So I could see the Hornets flip-flopping from 10 to 9 probably throughout the next week or two until some separation gets, met with all of these teams. But this was a busy night of basketball. The Hornets, they like I said, man, this look like a completely different team. I'm shocked to see that the Hornets just putting a number on some of these squads. This does seem just strange. I feel like we're living in the twilight zone where the Hornets is just showing just growth. They got shot makers. They got it all. I'm just watching this team, and then Kobe White, like I said, he just completes it. To have that serious firepower coming off the bench, the Hornets was lacking that, especially when you got a situation with your bench. I know that we so jolly about the Hornets, but the bench still is in question, and that could be a problem when they get to the postseason, when they get to the play-in, when they start going to the reserves, because we're not getting much out of our young guys, especially McNeely. He's been a no-show all season long. We don't know what we're gonna get from T-John still. So I mean, to bring in the guy like Kobe to enhance what you already have. Trey Mann has been kind of up and down this season, but it's looking like after the trades he's starting to find his way. But the Sion is doing his thing. But you needed something else. And I think the Hornets, they got something else in Kobe White, where Melo could sit down, you put Kobe in there, he going to draw double teams, draw all his attention, open the floor up for everybody. So I'm excited for what he's going to bring. It's 121-94. Dillingham just missed a mid-range jumper. Connaughton has it. This game is all she wrote. This should be interesting. This will be an interesting close. Let's look ahead to the next game for the Charlotte Hornets. Because like I said, they did a number on the Bulls. I'm surprised, and that's another thing. I know people like they played the Bulls, but it's how they beat the Bulls. They shitted on the Bulls. You know, they ain't just play the Bulls tight. It was levels. It showed the Bulls, listen, man, you know, you got a little ways behind us now. They got Indiana coming up Thursday. I'm expecting the Hornets to do them dirty. So this is interesting. It's going to be a big-time week for Charlotte. We headed to a commercial break right now. It's 124-94. Great game right now. Con Knipple with 21 points. Miles Bridges with 16. Musa Diabate with 9, 7, 5, 3, and 3. Brandon Miller tonight with 23 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. LaMelo Ball tonight, 16 points, 3 rebounds, 7 assists, and a steal. Grant Williams, 11 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Kobe White, the newly acquired Kobe White, making his debut tonight, 10 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal. All of this in 15 minutes. Green, 11 points, 4 rebounds. Connaughton tonight with 5, 2 rebounds. Trey Mann with 2. So, I mean, we're getting production all over the place. Shout out Thunder. He says LaMelo has now played his most games in 4 years. He is currently healthy now. Whatever they did worked. Yeah, I mean, they did a lot. You know, it looked like it's all coming to pass. All there always was health when it came to LaMelo and the Hornets. Every year there's been something going on. I don't want to talk about it, put the shit in the air, but y'all been watching. Every year has been something. They start rolling some bullshit go on, and then oh my God, here we go, back to the sellers. There's been times last year or the year before it looked like they were starting to gain a little traction, but then something went left. Knock on wood, we haven't had anything too crazy, and they got go-to scorers now. It's not just Melo. Before it was just Melo and everybody else. You could go to Khan, you can go to Miller. You know, these people are going to be able to carry you for an extended period of time. So that's going to be the difference in a playing scenario. And they have a closer in LaMelo, so that's going to be a problem when they get the game to the clutch and then they're able to throw the ball to Melo and they clear the shit out the way. We're going to see how good the Hornets are out there. So listen, we just get the popcorn, y'all. We're just the beginning. And they may be able to catch Orlando or some of these other teams, too. It's not all she wrote in the standings. There's a lot of laughing and joking going on the Hornets bench. 2:59 remaining. Also, we got Miles Bridges returning and Musa. That was big time. Tonight, you got 16 points for Melo. Brandon Miller, 23. Con, 21. Bridges, 16. Look at the production that they got from all of these people. And this starting 5 is back in the flow. They're 15-2 with this unit, along with Musa Diabate. So, I mean, and it's messed up. And even when it was out, the Hornets was still standing pat. So you got to give Charles a little bit of credit as well, along with the team, because they could have just lost every last game, but they didn't. Despite losing 2 starters, here we go. Zion with it. Zion crossing half court. Dillingham is out there. They still got Colin Sexton playing. Connaughton for 3. He couldn't convert it. Tillman. It's going to be funny what we see from Tillman throughout this year. With Zion, the pressure is alleviated off of him as well with Kobe being there. With Kobe White being there, Zion don't have to, elevate every single night. He still could grow into his development. And I like Zion. He's a different guard. He comes in with more of a defensive approach. And then he can hit that 3. So I like what I'm seeing from Zion. Give him major props. It's 124-94. Trey Mann with it. Oh, Trey Mann step back to Zion to Pat for 3. And that's off. Tillman up and under, and he scores it. 126-94. 145 to go in the fourth quarter. Here goes Dillingham to Bruzilis to couldn't convert it. Here goes Trey. Trey has the ball. Trey Mann picked up by Colin Sexton, former teammates. You can see the affection for Colin Sexton too. A couple times they ran over to the bench. Trey Mann from deep, and that's water. Trey Mann is back. I think he's starting to get his swagger together. You needed some people, I guess, moved to open up the door for people like Trey Mann to step up. They paid him, for a reason. He can't just go to the sellers, But nonetheless, it's 129-97. 1 minute to go in the fourth quarter. We got Trey Mann with it. Trey Mann has the rock, picked up by Colin Sexton. Trey Mann in the mid-range. Good pass. Tillman, step back, 3-ball. Oh, he couldn't convert it. Rebounded. Did a Bulls. Oh, good steal from Trey. Trey defend. The Hornets still playing defense with them being up like this. This showing you that this is a completely different team. I mean, jumping passing lanes all over the place. Give props. And look at the team that's on the floor is pretty solid. You got Trey Mann, Zion, Kalkbrenner, Connaughton. These people got some experience. Tillman, especially with Trey Mann, Connaughton. Here we go. Zion is running the clock out. And look like we're going to end this game 131-99. The Hornets just all smiles there. Give props to Lamelo and the Charlotte Hornets. They continue to show that this is a completely different squad. I don't know what you heard. I don't know what they told you. But the Hornets are going and they're playoff bound, man. I can't wait till they get there. I really can't. That's what I'm waiting on, postseason. Dex, we at the end of this road. This is the 8th consecutive road game. Franchise record for the Hornets. What's your breakdown on this game, man? It was all she wrote.
Yeah, the game was pretty satisfying to watch, and it was kind of back and forth early, and then the adjustment was made in the third quarter. They came out, it was blistering, it was running up and down like track stars. You thought you saw the 1984 Olympics in Los Angeles all over again at track and field sprinters exposition. So shout out to the Charlotte Hornets for making that adjustment in the third quarter, and they just blew them out the box, 42-16. But in the third quarter flight, I mean, what's that, plus 26 points? I mean, that's mad crazy. And, like I said, the Chicago Bulls couldn't withstand that type of thrust down their throat. Pause. Yeah. So they lost the war of attrition in that third quarter, and it was unable to recover. So now the Charlotte Hornets have the longest win streak in their franchise history on the road. And to say that for a young team that's trying to find their identity in a league where a lot of teams are just muscling their way down the finish line, into the postseason, that is a great thing to observe from the Charlotte Hornets and all of their players participating in this road historical franchise win streaks. Like,
Yes, it's crazy. I'm watching. I'm keeping an eye on the Bucks game. They're playing the Miami Heat, and the Bucks record at 24-31. The Hornets are 27-31. They're down 2 right now with 3 minutes remaining in Milwaukee. So I'm got to keep an eye on some of these teams because I'm not ready yet to seal the deal on Charlotte. I think they have to continue because they gave up so much ground in the beginning. I continue to echo these statements. They're going to need to do a little bit more to secure their position with some of these teams. You got Giannis potentially coming back. He hasn't thrown in the towel yet. So that's always something looming. You know, if Giannis gets inserted back in, are they going to run away with this thing and get that postseason? Somebody might have to get knocked out, you know, if they bring it. So I'm watching this. The Hawks won tonight. So that stopped Charlotte from going to the 9th seed tonight. I was hoping that Charlotte would have shot up back to the 9th, but I mean it is what it is. It's still a lot of time. Give credit to the Hornets. Shout out to Nate. Shout out to Trent. Shout out to Muhammad in the chat. He says it's about to get scary for the association. Listen, man, when you got Khan and you got Miller just walking in the threes, it's like, yo, what is going on here with this squad? This is a completely different team opposed to what people seen in the later years. This is a new team, man, and this is a new Lamelo. Dex, so talk to LaMelo's leadership. How's LaMelo's explain to the people how Melo's numbers are down, but the wins are shot up. And like I said, Melo had to shatter a lot of claims that people was trying to put on him. Talk to Melo's leadership there.
well, LaMelo has a different kind of leadership that he expose. It's more so see me, do me, and I don't mean that in no sexual way, but his leadership is more demonstrative, more demonstrative than vocalization and enunciation. The Melo leadership shows that he could be jolly, he could be stern, he could be very supportive, and he can be very demonstrative. So that kind of leadership is somewhat unique because he has to learn how to become a full-blooded leader. And that's a trait that he never had to walk into as a youth playing basketball because he had 2 older brothers that chore that responsibility of leadership. All he had to do is to play and fall in where he fit in. Now that the Charlotte Hornets have paced him as the face of the franchise and has given him a lucrative contract, leadership is imminent from LaMelo. And he's learning as he goes. He might not be the perfect leader, but he is a solid leader, and he leads by way of an example more so than vocalizing it. And that is a lot of like passive aggressive, I could say, psychologically, and it has worked. So, and this is the reason why Charles Lee and LaMelo can mesh for the majority of the season and not constantly clash like others who have been in a Charlotte Hornets uniform and is no more there. They, sent them on their way. So that kind of leadership is dutiful. And he has stood up, stand out, and he has shown that he can bear the standard when it comes to responsibility and accountability. And a lot of that leadership has shown, like when LaMelo chooses not to be reckless when shooting the ball. He is more calculative this season that I have observed than I've seen in other seasons. Previous seasons, Melo shot with no shame, and he was quick to forget and he played basketball with amnesia. So this season, he is more calculative and more pinpoint. When he's hot, he continues to shoot. He will give you a heat check. And when it's not going, he knows how to defer. And that's a sign of a great leader in general when a lot of decentralization is being demonstrated and exemplified on the hardwood flight. And that's the kind of leadership you want with a team like Charlotte that's young and fragile.
How important is the personnel? Because you basically had Lamelo out there, and then now you had a Bryson McGowan's, and now you swap them out with a Con Knipple. I mean, it seemed like the talent gap has changed. What do you think about that? You maybe even a Nick Richards, for instance, and then you bring in Nick Richards is pretty decent with the Hornets, but then you bring in the Kalkbrenner. You know, it seemed like you just upgraded a little bit at a lot of different positions. You got Zion James coming in, and then before you had guys like I forgot some of these names. Y'all know some of these people, but what do you think about the talent upgrade? That helped the leadership of Lamelo too, don't you think?
Well, the talent upgrade came through the draft. Now they acquired Kobe White in a transaction, but that is paper thin flight. The Kobe White existence in a Charlotte Hornet uniform. I mean, he's wearing number 3 for crying out loud because it's only close to 0, and that's the number that he wants to have. But 0 is already taken, and that's taken by one of the veterans in Miles Bridges. So Miles Bridges not coming off that number.
Hell no.
We got to see how this works with Kobe. Kobe coming off the bench after being one of the latest and newest rocket star last season, ascending to becoming one of the faces of the Chicago Bulls. Shout out to C Red Nation. And now this is a descension. This is not a ascension. This is a descension coming to the Charlotte Hornets. And not only coming to the Charlotte Hornets, he is coming and has deferred and now is playing a backup role when he was one of the stars of a big market team that looked to be up and coming after the exit of Lonzo, Caruso, Derrick Jones Jr., Zach LaVine, and DeMar DeRozan. And you can even say Javonte Green, because Javonte Green was a major part of the Chicago success as well. And so he was emerging. Now he is being relegated, and you have a rookie starting over him. You have a 3-year player and Brandon Miller starting over him. And he knows he can't get it in over LaMelo Ball. That's absolutely a no-no, whether it's politics or whether it's talent. So now he just have to stay pat and make the most out of the minutes that he is given. And tonight he's done that. He was very productive with 10 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists. So he was all around statistically. So that is an improvement of the talent for the Charlotte Hornets, because not only can he be a bucket, he has shown that he is willing to share the ball and not be magnanimous and myopic when he's out there on the floor trying to be productive. So Charles Lee got his hands full with that. And like I said, Flight, if Charles Lee could just manage his ego, I mean, I know it's difficult for that Negro to manage his ego and stop trying to prove that you are different and your difference matters. Stay within the framework of basketball 101 until you really, really get into the depths of postseason. And you can make some differences, but not try to make an overall difference like you try to reinvent the wheel. Keep your rotation down to 8, maybe 9 at most, because you're a playoff team. I mean, look at Charlotte. they're good flight. Listen, I'm eating a lot of crow right now, and I know this, and I'm almost choking for so much crow that I have to eat by being so disparaging towards the Charlotte Hornets and their bad behavior basketball that I observed in the past few years. Since Lamelo's sophomore year until recently, there was a lot of bad basketball being played. And it was sad to watch. It almost got to be god awful because they stayed in the lottery situation. Now they're proving that they are a good team, and maybe they don't need to go back into the lottery. If they go into the lottery, it's only because of a trade that they acquired that draft pick, not because they stink and the NBA is being giving them welfare by them stinking, and they're getting the opportunity for a high draft pick. They have a lot. They had a plenty. So now let's see this talent develop, showcase, and demonstrate why they were lottery picks slightly.
I totally agree with you, Dex. If you've been living under a rock, you didn't check this game. The Hornets opened up a can of whoop ass on the on the Chicago Bulls. Pardon me. This was the debut of Kobe White. The Hornets, they're doing well. As I'm evaluating this, and I was listening to Dex post game talk. We're just getting started, ladies and gentlemen. We got a lot of things to break down. I'm evaluating other teams as well. I've seen the Milwaukee Bucks. They secured a dub. And they beat the Miami Heat. That wasn't an easy game. They finished on a 10-0 run. They secured that one. So I'm watching these teams because like I said, Charlotte's not fully secured this. But in this game, they secured it. In this third quarter, they had an eruption. Pause. Khan Knuppel, I think he had 13, 15. It was something crazy. Khan Knuppel, his numbers. They put up 42 points, y'all. That was the game. That's what blew the doors off the hinges. Because the Bulls only put up 16 in that third quarter. That'll do a number on any team. The Hornets could score with anybody. They're going to cause problems for some of the best defenses when you got the weaponry. They have shot makers who hit tough shots. Lamelo, he hits tough shots. Miller hits tough shots. You understand? Khan hits tough. These people hit shots that you just ain't supposed to be making. So, I'm very excited for what we're going to be getting from the Charlotte Hornets potentially, and when these games get tougher, because I want to see when the pressure's on. I want to see game one playoffs. I want to see the response of this team. I want to see what Charles Lee is really made of. I want to see the resilience of this organization. I got Unstoppable in the house. Unstoppable. Shout out to you. Shout out to all the Bulls fans all around the world. We seen Kobe White tonight. What's your thoughts tonight? The Hornets, they just completely violated the Bulls. Talk to us.
Yeah, Charlotte did their thing. You know what I'm saying? I expected them to get spanked by Charlotte. I thought Kobe would have had a couple more points. At least walked out with at least by 15, but he still did good because I think he had like 4 assists, right?
Let me double check, man. Yeah, let me hear something from Charles Lee right quick.
42 points, or the
Charles
fact that Eric
Lee's at the
Collins
mic.
said deflections probably like 1,000 times.
Well, I wish I could have heard him say that because that was what was exciting to me. To watch our team turn up the defensive intensity. Khan starts off the quarter with his deflection. Brandon gets a couple. Miles' communication and like his visual and verbal. Melo's super active in the passing lanes and slicing out and getting steals. So anyway, total team effort, but I love how we turned up our defensive intensity in the third quarter.
What about all the rotations that we saw? Seamlessly kind of moved through that. What does that say to you?
I don't know about seamless, but it's good to have that much depth. I think that as we continue to have healthy bodies, we will figure out what combinations work really well together. But it's a nice luxury as a coaching staff and as a team to be able to play a lot of different people in a lot of different positions.
How did Kobe White fit in tonight?
He did great. He was Kobe White, which is what we love about him. I thought that defensively, he brought an edge to him, an intensity, great communication as well. And then offensively, he's like a 3-level scorer, and he also made some phenomenal passes in the pick and roll when Chicago was overshifting.
201 threes made for Con Knipple, if you're counting, because we are. But he's so humble about it. What is it like to coach a kid who not only does it that way, but plays the right way as well?
Yeah, it's exciting. It's refreshing. It's what elevates our whole culture. When you have a guy that's that good, but that humble, no ego, it becomes contagious throughout your whole organization and environment.
Enjoy this one.
Thank you, Shane.
Eric, back to you.
So, listen, man, you see what's going on. Dex, what's your thoughts on what we heard from Mr. Charles?
Yeah, Flight, it's ironic that he mentioned the word ego. Did you hear that? As much as I have plastered Charles Lee about his ego, he mentions ego. So he'll probably be listening to some of the stuff that comes across. Somebody probably put him up on it, and he probably listens to some. Probably not a lot, but some, just to scour the landscape to see what people are saying. But he was right. I mean, that's what happened in the third quarter. They ratchet up the intensity of their defense, and they were just all over the place. I mean, Chicago was befuddled and couldn't even get anything going outside of Buzilis. And the Charlotte Hornets seemed like they were playing with octopus tentacles because their hands were everywhere fighting. And that peel wasn't getting to the areas that Coach Billy Donovan wanted the ball in, because Charlotte was so much defending the area, they put up a fortress. And that's why the score and the result was 42-16 in that third quarter. And they basically was identical tonight that there was the other night when they played the Wizards and they had 44 points in the third quarter. So this third quarter of these last two games have been magnificent for the Charlotte Hornets. And coming out of the break, that's where you make your adjustments. And like I always have said, first quarter, third quarter is mostly when the games are won, Flight.
Good call, Dex. Good call. Unstoppable. You was talking about the points that you wanted to see from Kobe White. He was coming off an injury. 10 points out, like you said. You talk about his assists. Charles Lee thought he played phenomenal. It's just the beginning for a guy like Kobe White. I see him potentially putting up 20-plus points. I see him being a matchup nightmare in the playoffs. I see him being a propeller for the Charlotte Hornets of getting them to where they need to get to. That's what I see from Charlotte, especially with him. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Kobe White as the season wanes. He's not here to compete with Lamelo Ball, so I like that. He was finding Melo. He was getting the ball. Shit, where the hell Melo at? And when he gave the ball to Lamelo, good things happened. So I like what I'm seeing from this team. This is just the beginning of the greatness. Hopefully they don't have to compete too heavy for this playing spot, because they got company, y'all. Like I said, the Milwaukee Bucks won tonight. The Atlanta Hawks won tonight. So the Hornets got to continue to fight, scratch, and claw. It's not going to be easy. But when they do get to the play, and when they get to the playoffs, it's going to be very well worth it. Because they would have really earned it. They earned it the hard way. So it's going to be interesting. It's Flight Sports TV. It ain't over yet. Unstoppable, man. What's up with your Bulls, man? It's over with them, man. They didn't wait. They going full-fledged young now. They look like they're going rebuild mode. What's the state of the Bulls, briefly?
Shit. Hopefully rebuild it, man. But it looks like they're going to do a slight little tank from what's going on right now. I had them not winning the game. If they win any games, they'll probably be against maybe the Blazers and the Kings. Other than that, they ain't winning no more games. I'm just hoping they can get a top pick after it's all said and done. But yeah, I mean, this is what I've been wanting them to do. I just think they started a little bit too late. They should have did this at the beginning of the season, but because you started tanking in the beginning don't mean you guaranteed to get a first round pick just because you got the worst record. I mean, there's a lot of teams who jumped up. You got the Atlanta Hawks, you got the Dallas Mavericks, you know. So hopefully we have a lot of luck. So all this won't be for nothing. And the players, man, I don't even see none of these dudes coming back for who they signed, except for maybe Jaden Ivory. You know, that's the only one. I think the only contract that's guaranteed, and he not looking like a shell of himself. So, oh shit, all I can hope for is they draft somebody good. You know?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree. It's gonna be some tough shot. Unstoppable. We're gonna find out. That's the state of the Bulls. They're still holding on to the coaching staff. Like I said, I've never seen a regime, get the grace that this regime has gotten. So give major props to the Bulls. AK, he seemed like he big on continuity. He ain't letting none of his people go. Only the players, I guess. Dex, you wrote in the chat, Charlotte Hornets has in place another historic winning streak for the franchise, 8 in a row road wins. Yeah, that's big time. And that's going to pay dividends because, especially in that position, even though I know that we excited, we hype, we think that they're going to get possibly to the 6th seed, or, they potentially may have to get into the playoffs on the road. And with this situation where they're looking good that bodes well for Charlotte. To go into Orlando or something like that, or go in a hostile environment and pick up a dub. The Hornets could do it. They deserve all of this, man. You got to go to the playoffs. The Hornets can't. I think this would be, I wouldn't call it a failure, but I think it would be a major, drop of the ball if they didn't make the playoffs this year. I just think all of this, it has to be rewarded with a postseason berth. So they got to do everything in their power, whether it's on the road, preferably give yourself 2 opportunities. But I think the Hornets could win on the road. Dex, do you think the Hornets can win on the road in a potential playing matchup?
Well, yes, because they're showing that they're very fortified. And anytime you get third quarter explosions, like we have been watching lately from the Charlotte Hornets, that's scary. Coming out of the break, and you just pulverize your opponent, and you end the game in 3 quarters, and you're able to rest your top 5 in the 4th quarter. That is a scary thing, and it's a luxury for any coach who has that in their pocket. So the Charlotte Hornets definitely can win on the road flight. As we mentioned, they have set a record for their franchise. For all of the players that have come through the corridor of the Spectrum Center and have become a part of the Hive, one way or another, this group of guys, under this leadership, stewarded by Jeff Peterson and Charles Lee, have set a record for their franchise. And this is an indelible mark for all of those in the Charlotte Hornets organization in 2026. So when you are a team that's trying to not only make noise, but have a aspect of intimidation, then you must continue to wipe people out on their home floor and destroy their silo and keep their fans in angst due to what you are able to do with the talent that you bring to these arenas on the road. And for a young coach, a young team, and new coaching staff, that is a delight and a satisfaction that most coaches dream about. A young team that can string multiple wins on the road. And lasting flight, the Charlotte Hornets if they're going to make some noise in the postseason, it's going to have to win on the road. They only have one opportunity to play a home game. They only have one opportunity for that. And after that opportunity, all of their playoff series, if they advance, will be on the road flight.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. It's gonna be interesting. Like I said, the Hornets they got to see what they're made of. Charles Lee going up against some of the top coaches in the game. I like the Hornets' chances of getting to the playoffs this year because, like I said, they're showing a different level. They can win in a lot of different ways. They don't have to play through Melo. They can play through Miller. They can play through everybody. So this is going to be a little bit of a different team. And the production we're getting from Miles. Miles is really putting the Hornets on his back. I know that Melo, Khan, Bridges, and Miller, these guys get all the credit, but we can't sleep on what we're getting from Miles. Miles Bridges came here and has, like I said, taken it up. And he, like I said, he shook off a lot of BS. Remember all the nasty shit Miles was dealing with? You finally got him in the clear, and this is what you're seeing from Miles. Family straight, kids straight, no suspensions, basketball. And you seeing why the Hornets was hell-bent on the Hornets could have let Miles go. I don't think people understand. If this was San Antonio with Popovich, they would have released this guy probably the first runner. If this was the NFL, they would have just cut him immediately. The Hornets held on to Bridges. And I was thinking it was just a situation where it was like, man, is it because Lamelo was demanding that he don't leave? But they believed in this guy. It was something about Miles that they believed in him, and he's paying them tenfold, for what they've done. He always said, I want to be in Charlotte. He never said, he could have said, I want out. His name was being floated around. He was around for a lot of losing. He's seeing his fellow other teammates go on, and it looked like they experienced a little success. You remember when PJ left? PJ thought he went to the bottom to the top. Now his shit coming crashing down. But it is what it is. We'll see how good PJ Washington is now when you don't have all these people carrying you to the finals. So I'm just saying that Miles could have left, but he didn't. He still remained here, and he showed his leadership. Miles is. You see what happened when shit got physical. Miles took the front line. So you got to give Miles props. This is his team too. Just when I say it's his team, that don't mean it's a shot at Lamelo. This is Miles' team too. He got vocal leadership here. When he want to speak, they listening. That go for Melo too. When Miles speak, Melo listen. These are people that Melo gonna listen to. Melo is bought into everything. Give credit to Lamelo. Lamelo and Charles Lee had all of the makings for the next big thing to go on in the NBA. This thing could have been like a soap opera. They had all the writing on the wall for it. The media even was enticing and putting gasoline on the fire. I believe Peterson was ready to let go and cut ties with a lot of these pieces on this team if they didn't go on this win streak. Listen, man, the Hornets, I think Melo gonna be involved. I thought Lamelo and Charlotte was going to separate. I could see Melo being here for the next couple of years, especially if they sustain this, which I do believe is going to happen. They have all of the pieces in place to sustain what's happening right now and let them taste a little bit of playoff glory. Next year, they'll be in the 5th seed, 3rd seed, or some shit like that. This is the kind of shit that happens when you get to the playoffs. That's why I'm like, man, I want them to get there. I want them to get there. Because once they get to the playoffs, they understand how to play in tough games. Next year, when they go into the regular season, these games are coming a lot easier, for Charlotte. They win it. I don't expect Charlotte to drop as many games as they did in the beginning of the year next season. That first round matchup, get the popcorn. I know the NBA understands there's a lot of money there. So I hope we get there. Pistons, Hornets, if it's fucking Hornets versus whoever. Unstoppable. What's good?
But what's the hold on. Okay, I thought I had to sneeze. What's the Charlotte Hornets record? What seeding they are now?
Right now they're in the 10th seed. Hold on, I have to pull that up right now. Hold on. But I know they're 10th seed. I just had the damn record. Just
Matter of fact, can you read the whole season for the East for me right quick? You don't got to. You don't got to say everybody else right quick.
I have to pull it up. Hang on a second, I'm getting there.
Charlotte come. They on their way up. Like I said, I always said they was gonna be on their way up once they got rid of them bad contracts and start making all the necessary moves. You know.
Yes.
The NBA Eastern Conference, the standings are Detroit 1, Boston 2, New York 3, Cleveland that moved up to 4, Toronto 5, very surprising, Toronto 5, Philly 6. The play-in scenario reads as Orlando 7, Miami 8, Atlanta 9. They're still fighting. Atlanta's still fighting. And the Charlotte Hornets 10. So coming out the gate, the Charlotte Hornets lost 2 after the break. And now they won 2. So right now they're playing 500 basketball. And the Atlanta Hawks is playing 500 basketball as well. But in the last 10 games, the Charlotte Hornets is 7-3. So the Charlotte Hornets is playing the best basketball of all of the play-in teams scenario. And that includes Orlando, Miami, and Atlanta. The Charlotte Hornets is playing the best basketball in the last 10 games increment at a 7-3 record and has a win streak of 2 games, and that ties with Atlanta in that play-in situation.
Can you tell me what's what's Orlando Magic and Hornets record? Before I get to say this take, I just need to know what they
Orlando is sitting at the top of the play-in with 30-26. Charlotte is sitting at the bottom of the play-in with 28-31. So there's a 3.5 game difference between the two, or cushion between the two.
What about Magic? I said Magic. I mean, Miami too. Excuse me.
Miami's 31-28, okay. And there's only a 3 game cushion between Miami and the Charlotte Hornets. So there's going to be a lot of jostling and juggling in that bottom portion of the Eastern Conference competition postseason.
I don't know why I can see them low key kind of catching up with Miami and Magic though. I could be tripping, but how many games left of the season? About 20.
Let's see. 7. Right now they play 59 games. So 59 minus 82 is 23.
Okay, I said 22, so 23. Oh yeah, they're gonna be fighting for that spot. They're gonna be right there.
So that's good for the NBA that you have these 4 teams, 2 Florida teams fighting, trying to hold off 2 Southern Bells. Even though Florida is the most southern state, but they don't consider Florida as a Southern Belle. But Georgia definitely, and North Carolina definitely. So that's what you got. And you know the Sixers could fall off. Toronto could fall off. So you got teams that are in 5 and 6 that could end up in a play-in scenario, and teams that are 7 and 8 could move into the 5th seed and the 6th seed easily. There's not much cushion. Philly's only the 6th seed by 1 game, and Toronto is the 5th seed by 3 games. So, like I said, there's going to be a lot of juggling and jostling for position in this last leg of the NBA season to see who qualifies in the bottom portion for 83 games to play an 83rd game. And let's shout out Con Knipple for once. Fastest NBA player to make 200 3-pointers. And he's on the verge of becoming the all-time rookie leader in 3-point shots. He's only, I think, 4 behind Keegan Murray, who leads all rookies historically in 3 points made in a season. And Con Knipple easily can surpass him and become the all-time rookie leader in 3-point shots made in a season.
Yeah, most definitely. Like I said, what about Con Knipple in this Rookie of the Year race? Shout out to the Pope. What do you think about that? Because do you feel like Con is getting any good consideration? It seems like no matter what he does, Cooper Flag is going to run away with this award, even though the Hornets are in position. And I think he's doing it in a tougher way because he's got to play with other great players that's playing at a good level, an elite level. You know, Miller's playing at an elite level right now. You know, so what do you think about Con and his Rookie of the Year, situation? Can he even win it?
Most definitely he can win it. I think he should be not the front runner, but the top. Everybody else should be chasing Cooper Flag. They should be looking at the heels of his soles due to the fact that Cooper Flag is out. I know Cooper Flag was running the Dallas Mavericks, and that gave him a tremendous advantage. He wasn't the help. He was the system, where Con Knipple is the help. But the injury to Cooper Flag kind of make him lose it by default. And Knipple is still contributing to a winning source, or he is a part of the source that is contributing to the Charlotte Hornets as they continue to make noise in the NBA. If I had a vote, Con Knipple would be my Rookie of the Year because Dallas was already looked upon as a playoff team. Before they drafted Cooper Flag. Once they drafted Cooper Flag, they thought if Cooper Flag was who they say he was, then Dallas could be a potential threat, especially if Kyrie comes back with Cooper Flag. Now, with all of that huff and puffing, that didn't happen. So there was no genie in the bottle for the Dallas Mavericks this year. That bottle was found in the Atlantic Ocean near the Carolinas. And someone from the Charlotte Hornets organization grabbed that genie bottle out of the Atlantic Ocean as it washed ashore and rubbed it. And when they rubbed it, a genie came out, and his name was Con the Man. So if I had a vote in electing Rookie of the Year, it'd be hands down Con Knipple, because not only is the Dallas Mavericks falter have been disappointing and they punted off players, the Charlotte Hornets is on the polar opposite of that. They're winning and they're acquiring players to continue in the winning ways. So Con, to me, would be head and shoulders above what is left of the rookies of the 2026 draft. 2025 draft class, because when you really look at the landscape of the NBA and all of the rookies, there's some rookies that's making some noise and has ascended. But Con Knipple, not only is he very productive and he's a heavy contributor to the Charlotte Hornet winning ways, but he is also making noise by breaking records inside the organization and outside the organization, Flight.
Most definitely, Dex. Noble Nas says Melo is the joke is your point guards. Like I said, Melo's definitely balling. I was looking at Lonzo Ball. He posted this guy Lonzo is on Instagram in his draws, promoting LiAngelo Ball's song. Dex, what you think about Lonzo Ball? Did you see this post?
What post?
Online. You should go to Lonzo's post on Instagram. I'm looking at the comments section and they're not being too forgiving.
Well, I mean, a lot of people had a lot of hopes in Lonzo. So they put a lot of energy towards him and his success because his dad was a super Don King when promoting Lonzo and the rest of his sons. And they thought they was going to see something dynamic and different because everybody want to see something dynamic and different in the NBA. They always want to be on board on the next new thing coming. And they thought Lonzo 2017 was that. Unfortunately, that never panned out. It never came to fruition. And so a lot of people was hanging on the humdinger that never dinged. And when Lonzo did have some aspect of success in Chicago, it blew out of proportion. You follow what I'm saying? And they contribute the majority of that winning to Lonzo. And then Lonzo came back and testified that Acme, the executive portion of the Chicago Bulls brass organization, that team was built around him. Okay, cool. You can get away with that when you're the number one seed and you're explosive. Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan are roommates running for MVP. One was 7, one was 5. You can get away with saying that. But once those guys are gone and if Chicago brings you back after your injury, it doesn't appear that Lonzo believes that he can take over the Bulls and be the guy where this team is built around him. And when we saw the changing of the guards and Lonzo get traded off to Cleveland, he was less than a shell of himself. I mean, the guy couldn't throw a pebble in a pond. He couldn't even throw a brick in the ocean. He was shooting so bad that he should have 5 or 6 castles throughout the continental United States. That's how many bricks he was laying. So a lot of fans are not going to be forgiving because who wants to be wrong, right? And how many people can face up that, you know what, I was wrong. I missed that. I put a lot of energy in it, didn't pan out, but I missed that. So instead of just copping out, okay, I was wrong, a lot of people still want to fight to be right. And at the same time, they're going to express their anger towards him because they invested so much emotion into his career that it didn't pan out the way they passionately hoped it would pan out. So when they see him over with LiAngelo and his music, I'm quite sure Lonzo got some money invested in Jello, even though he got the big money from Def Jam. But Lonzo always wanted to be a rapper anyway, right? He wanted to be a rapper. He had aspiration of being a rapper. So now he's seeing his brother just blow the hell up. He probably want a piece of the action. And a lot of people are saying that maybe you should focus more on basketball than other extracurricular activities. That come naturally. But get back to the court because you, Lonzo Ball, had reiterated what LeBron James told you, and you have spoken and announced that was one of the most wise things you have heard since you've been in the league, and that is keep the main thing the main thing. Is Zoe keeping the main thing the main thing? That's what people are curious about, and wandering minds and inquisitive investigations wants to render. What is going on with Zoe? Do he really want to continue in basketball? Or did he put up his money and now he can just be a little more free and pursue some of his childhood dreams and hobbies as being a hip hop artist?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you. Shout out to Lonzo, man. Like I said, the injuries definitely did, derail a few things. But like I said, Lonzo hopefully will be back sooner than later. It's definitely, this year has been tough. I hope he gets another opportunity. Like I said, let's see his focus on the game. From his last interview, he said that he's not the worst person in the NBA, and but wherever he goes, he got to up his aggressiveness, in my opinion. I don't think he can come back, and like I said, you can play your game, but I just think you need to be more offensive, coming back. You got to get yours. Everybody else already got theirs already, along with passing and all that shit too. But he got to come back and get his.
Because
a minimum of 10 points per game. This is what I'm just saying, minimum. Go ahead.
Because
bro.
looks like you got to look at it like this. You work, right? You work a job. You on a
That's
clock
right.
9 to 5. I'm on a clock 9 to 5. I work a job. I'm not an entrepreneur. I mean, I try to start some businesses, but they didn't really flourish. You know what I'm saying? But I'm glad I have a job to back it up, so I don't go back to the crack house and try to trap. You know what I'm saying? Or go to the blade and try to pimp. I don't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a failed writer. I'm not a failed rapper. I'm not a failed salesperson. So that was something I wanted to do outside of my job. Hopefully that it took off and I wouldn't have to have a job. I could be my own boss. I won't have nobody bossing me, telling me to get up in the morning, put my energy out there to make their dreams come true and send their kids to higher learning institutions while I'm struggling to do mine. But at the same time, I'm a realist. I'm optimistic, but I'm a realist. So I know that if these things are not working out for me, then I still have a backup plan. I know some entrepreneurs feel that I got plan A and my backup plan is not to screw up plan A. I don't have a plan B. That's a lot of entrepreneurs think that, and some of them win in that type of mind path. They win in that type of mind path, but everybody don't win in that type of mind path because the system that we live in, Flight, it is designed to have a working class. Without a working class, you cannot have what we consider capitalism in the form that we see it, right? The greater goods for the greater service, supply and demand. That's capitalism in a nutshell, right? So everybody can't be an entrepreneur because if everybody entrepreneurs, who's going to be the working class? Because everybody is the boss. So the system is not set up for that. They allow some entrepreneurs to spring, and then other entrepreneurs it's difficult for them. And for me, I was one of those difficult ones that didn't springboard until a millionaire, but I do have a cushion job that affords me a luxury lifestyle. You hear that? A luxury lifestyle. I mean, I can say I live like some rappers, right? I done things like rappers. I ain't made a song, I ain't got a hit record, I ain't got no big contract. But I done, whatever rappers do, except drugs. I don't do drugs, never did drugs. Whatever them rappers do, just think about what I'm saying here.
City to
Whatever them
city to
rappers do,
city, state to state.
I done. I done done it in my lifetime. You
Nigga,
follow what I'm saying? I done done it. I done done it. Trust me. Except the drug thing. Nope. Say no to drugs. Nancy Reagan. But so Lonzo just have to figure out where he wants to be on the balance beam, because right now it is tilted towards disappointment. So in order for him to get back level, he has to just get back into the gym. I mean, like I said in previous streams, we've seen Lonzo in clips working out, doing moves, and looking fantastic while doing it, and looking different, like he's reinventing himself due to the fact of his injury, right? Which could have been catastrophic, but it wasn't. It was devastating, but it wasn't catastrophic. So by having that devastating injury, being able to return, his mindset should have been more focused on being a leader and taking revenge on his shortcomings in the past. If he would approach the game and that mindset, instead of just being content, just being back, I think he would have had much more success in this tour of duty than he did in previous 10 years. Like,
yeah, good call, Dex. Like I said, I just hope Lonzo can shake these injuries, man, and just get back, to the game at this point. It seems like, I don't want to say he's at a crossroads, but this is a definitely tough part of his career right now. Seeing a situation where he's not signed. It is what it is. Shout out to Coffee to the World. Y'all go get in contact with my man Coffee. He got these Henry twins. Y'all need to do your homework. With their 2.5 years apart. Shout out to Coffee to the World. He trying to let y'all know y'all better get on game now with these Henry twins. He giving ample notice. So when this thing take off the heights never before seen, I just don't want nobody to be in the dust. The man been telling us for years, and he's letting it be. This year, he upping the intensity this year. Y'all better get on point with these Henry twins. I'm going to repeat. Shout out. Y'all better go follow my man Coffee to the World on IG. He's politicking on everybody right now, bringing the awareness. Shout out to my man Nate J, 84. But like I said, he says Lonzo, no matter what, is still an amazing ball player, an incredible rapper, an entire ball familiar, legendary forever. Oh, that's facts. We all know this has never been done before. I just think that this family is going to be a 30 for 30. This is going to go down in history. Melo is holding it down on the basketball court right now. We got to keep it 100. Even Melo getting screwed around. I felt like out of all these injuries, somebody from the Hornets should have been represented at that All-Star game. They've been playing well. Somebody should have got a reward, and I felt Melo should have got that. They could have gave it to him or Miller, whatever way you want to go. But the Hornets somebody should have been represented at that game. It is what it is. Dex, what you think?
Yeah, I was just going to speak on Zoe. Now, there's rumor mills in the city of in La La Land that there's a potential that he can be reunited with Magic in a Lakers uniform in a reduced role, because Magic did draft him. Magic had high hopes of him. Magic has spoke and have pontificated on behalf of Alonzo, along with LeVar, and that contributed to a lot of the hype as well. So it's not just LeVar that blew up the atmosphere with it. You had a legendary, arguably the best point guard that ever played in the association, pontificating for the parade of Lonzo Ball. So there's some murmurs, not really anything hefty, but there's a possibility, and I'm keeping an eye on that, and I'm checking in with my people, that there's a possibility that he could be reunited with Magic Johnson and given that opportunity to close out his career in a Laker uniform.
I think that'll be solid too. It's got to be somebody who understands him. I was looking at Detroit the other day. I didn't realize Fred Vincent, the guy who was behind, helping him get his shot on point in the early stages of his career when he left LA. He's actually in Detroit now. So I'm like, oh wow, they're maneuvering him all over the place. And if you see Detroit, they also got Trajan Landon. Trajan Landon was in New Orleans with Lonzo just before Lonzo got the big contract in Chicago. So I'm just saying, some teams that got a little knowledge on Lonzo, who's gotten the best out of Lonzo. I know that you hit Detroit, you're like, I don't know. I mean, but I'm just saying, if he can go to Detroit and play some meaningful minutes, where I'll go there. I know they got Cade. That may not be the most ideal, but if he can go somewhere where they understand his game, they could put him in positions to win. That's where Lonzo needs to go. And I trust Fred Vincent. I trust Trajan Landon with Lonzo right now. I want him to go somewhere where they know him, or he's on the floor with people who know him. Get back with DeMar, who respect you, who I know that y'all might not do much winning, but it's about Lonzo's production on the floor, in my opinion. I want Lonzo to play his best basketball, not just come get signed and just run around with the motions. So that was what was going on in Cleveland. He was just running with the motions. It's time to go somewhere where he's a worthy player on the team that's paying dividends. Dex, what you think?
Yeah, you're right, Flight. Except I agree with mostly everything except the Cleveland tour of duty. That was dreadful. And Lonzo basically did that to himself. Because when Lonzo was introduced as a Cleveland Cavalier, they embodied his whole family. Don't forget that. They welcomed the VAR. The VAR had some Cleveland ZO2 in they shade of color. They gave Jello a gold ball. They embraced his family. It's just that Lonzo just was non-productive. He had a couple of productive games, and he did some defense and things of that nature. But like I said, Flight, you are a working man. You go 9 to 5. I'm a working man. We go 9 to 5. That mindset of a blue collar worker is different than the mindset of an elitist, right, or aristocrat, because we know we have to be accountable, or else we'd be replaced, right? If we're not accountable, then we're expendable. If you're expendable, you're replaceable. You know what I'm saying? It's just business. So we can't try to cupcake this Lonzo thing. It's all on him. Even on his own podcast, how he spoke, he knows this. Because look how Demo got at him. Okay, Lonzo, be for real now. This is our podcast. We gotta speak the truth. Don't bullshit the people. That's what Demo was telling him. Don't bullshit the people. What happened? And then what's the Mexican kid name? My God. Salazar. Anthony Salazar. Antonio Salazar. Right? Even Antonio asked Lonzo, on the real, how's that leg? How's that knee? Lonzo like, oh, it's good. And then moved on. Dude, these are the things people are wanting to know. This is why you have a podcast, so you can speak for yourself. You can quiet curious minds. You can quiet wondering minds. You can quiet chaotic minds, because you have a fan base. You have an influence. You got over 10 million people that is a part of your Instagram network. And I don't know how many is part of his TikTok. I don't know how many is part of his Twitter. So he got tens of millions of fans. It's curious, what the hell just happened? What did we just witness? Because we was excited to see and have an opportunity to witness playoff Zoe. That's what people were shouting, playoff Zoe. And now the Cleveland Cavaliers punt it on third down. They didn't let you play out the season and you just got there. You follow what I'm saying? Yes, you was a casualty of war because they traded DeAndre Hunter, right? And they traded Darius Garland. One thing about Darius Garland and Lonzo Ball, they both have the same representation, which is clutch sports. And the good thing about that, Rich Paul has some solid relationships, and Magic Johnson is one of them. Now, Magic and LeBron kind of, that relationship was kind of fragile, but they did kiss and make up. But Rich Paul and Magic never fell out. So he has a good relationship there. Now, the Trajan Langdon thing in Detroit, that's possible too, right? Fred Vincent is there. Lonzo's shot seemed to be broke. He fixed it the first time. Maybe he can fix it again, round 2 with Fred Vincent. That's possible as well. But the one thing that the association wants to know, how is your knee, dude? Is it your knee that's throwing you off? Is it slightly irritating you to the point that you're not comfortable, and when you shoot, it throws off, and your focus is not all the way there? Because we've seen you on open runs to the basket, and it was a blooper. One of the all-time bloopers this season. If Shaq had the Shaq and the Fool, that definitely would have been on Shaq and the Fool. There's no way an NBA player could screw up a layup like that by himself. Nobody in the camera, just him by himself, because he ran so fast that he outran everybody. Nobody chased him because they just surrendered the bucket. And he did what he did. I mean, you have to see it to believe it. It's like, no way. No way. Even I can do that, and I got 2 bad knees. But so Lonzo has to reassure himself, and then when he gets on any team, he has to be a little more selfish. We all know you can throw the ball, you can pass the ball, things like that nature. Now you have to be a little more selfish. We want at least a Sean Livingston showing. Can we get a Sean Livingston showing? If we can get that, then he can ride out to the sunset for the rest of his career and be comfortable, like Sean Livingston did. Remember all the heat that was on Sean Livingston, all of the rubbish that was thrown to Sean Livingston, and then he became a Golden State, well, he was a Cleveland Cavaliers, became a Golden State Warrior, and he
he had a good
reinvented
career.
himself.
He closed his career strong.
He closed his career out strong. He wasn't really healthy, but the way that he was used, he maximized the flight because he only played like he only played like 10 to 14 minutes a game.
He won a few games for him though.
You feel me? So if Lonzo can if we can get that out of Lonzo, it'll be a decent career. But right now we don't even see that. And I think that Lonzo, if I was Lonzo, I would try to reach those heights of at least a Sean Livingston and probably go beyond. And the only how you do that is you become a man amongst boys, because you're like 28 years old. You're almost 30. And NBA teams is not really reaching out in that age bracket. They're reaching out to people in their 23, 22, 20. You follow what I'm saying?
No, he's maybe a little more solidified in the
25,
league.
maybe 25. Like, that's probably as deep as they're gonna really go, outside of just being a mid-level exception. You know what I'm saying? So if you're still in your 20s and the NBA is not checking for you, that's a bad sign.
I'm trying to see the exact age of Lonzo. Yeah, he's 28. He's right about that. So I mean, like I said, this situation to me is just injury related. I think under any circumstance, Lonzo on the open market, or are you kidding me? Bring him on. Just the IQ level alone. But if people don't feel like they're gonna get much production, and then these are all stars. They talk. You don't know what Donovan Mitchell is saying. Donovan Mitchell might know a little bit more than me and you or anybody else, because he was actually there. He might be running around. Man, this motherfucker, you feel me? I don't know. You feel me? That could be going on. What's their relationship? 'Cause I'm just saying, I don't know what happened there in Cleveland. It's a mess, but like I said, like Dex said, Lonzo got some fault in this. Wherever Lonzo go, he got to be more offensive. Nobody wants to see you passing the ball all around like hotcakes. We've seen that already. It's time to just get more offensive. Just get out there and get yours. Like I said, 5 points, 4 points. That's unacceptable. to be an NBA player. I'm just saying, they just got to keep 100. These kind of things, and the way you play unselfishly, the way Lonzo plays, when things are not working and shots are missing, and you just running around passing, the shit looks crazy. You know what I mean? I'm just saying the shit don't always look right, man. We got to keep it 100.
And Flight,
go ahead.
I also like to share this too. Now, Lonzo had games where he had 16 points in the first half and didn't score a bucket in the second half. Lonzo had games where he had 9 points in the first quarter, and it was 5 or 6 minutes left in the first quarter, and he didn't score no more after that. That is unacceptable. And like I said, like you a working man, I'm a working man. We all have our accountabilities. How do you feel? How do you think the team feels? Lonzo, did you stop playing? Did you quit on us? You just got a few points and that's it? What the hell is going on? We still need you. We still need you to be a threat. Because if you're not a threat, then all the defense do is collapse on Donovan. They're going to collapse on Mobley. They're going to collapse on Jarrett. Or even they're going to collapse on Darius. You follow what I'm saying?
Whenever he was playing.
Yeah. So you gotta continue to score. You gotta, because this could be your night. It could be a historic night for you. You know what I'm saying? Just like I didn't like when Charles Lee took Lamelo out when he had 10 threes. Why would you do that? It doesn't matter what the score is. He's on the verge of having a historical night. What about if he hit 5 or 6 more threes? That could be potentially an NBA record or right there. You know what I'm saying? That can keep his name high up on NBA statistical historical list. Why do you take him out? Because it didn't make no sense, because in this game right here, Flight, he let Lamelo play when it was up damn near by 30 in the fourth quarter. Lamelo was on the bench, and Charles Lee brought him back in, right? I think Lamelo only had about 12 points. He brought him back in. He ended up having 16, 16. Right? So he brought him back in. So why you bring him back in this situation? Because this was identical what happened in Washington, but you didn't bring him back in after he hit his 10-3. What the fuck was that? Most coaches, that's what I'm trying to tell people, man. Most coaches want to see if you can do it. You think you can break a Klay Thompson record? Okay, you can go out there and let's see. If you miss 3 in a row, okay, that's it. You're out. You follow what I'm saying? The gun ain't shooting no more. But let's see. Let me give you at least 3 minutes in the fourth quarter and see if you still got that magic. If you got that magic, keep on going until I see that the gun is out of bullets. That's how you get history.
What about health, Dax? You don't think Charles?
What health? They playing the Wizards. They not trying to win. What health?
For Melo, that's why you're not opposed them.
This is not Boston. This is not San Antonio. This is the Wizards. They're playing with a G League squad. They're not trying to win. So if you in a game like that, there's no defense. Just like tonight, where was the defense? The Charlotte Hornets only shot, I think, 5 free throws, 6 at the most for the entire game. Nobody was playing hard. Nobody was fouling. You understand what I'm saying? So when you got games like this and you're on the verge of making history, let's see the history, dude. What are you taking them out for? It ain't no health. It ain't no health. This guy is 23 years old. His knee seems, his ankle seemed to be all right. He already missed his few games this year. And now he's played more games this year in the last, 3 to 4 years already? And you still got 23 more games to play? What the hell are you talking about? Stop the false narrative. The guy was on the verge of possibly, he already set Charlotte Hornets record, but he could have pulverized that record and went for Klay Thompson record. These are the moments. You don't get these moments all the time in the NBA. Ask Michael Jordan. Or even ask Klay Thompson. You understand what I'm saying? So you have these moments like this, the fans is going crazy. Because look, the fans stayed. Washington was getting blown out by 30. The fans stayed because they thought they was going to witness history. Because LaMelo was shooting threes from everywhere. There, Washington, the damn DMV was cheering. So a record could be made in their building. And this fool takes them out. Negroism.
I know this might switch gears, but if Melo played in the playoffs. I know the Knicks probably won't get the second seed, but hopefully they do. But I think if Melo went to New York in the playoff series, he would not get booed by the Garden fans. I just had something telling me the Garden is not going to boo Melo. So I'm telling you, I just feel like they're going to be oohing and ahhing. You know? I'm sorry. I just think New York, man, they got respect for ball players, but they ain't going to do Melo like that. You know,
New York.
That's why I wish that we got a chance to see that.
Shout out to Nick. Shout out to Nico5. But New York is a place where dreams come true, and they market their sports franchise around that. So when other people come in, like the Trace McGrady's, the Kobe Bryant's, the Michael Jordans, the Akeem Olajuwons, the Charles Barkleys of the world, when these players come in and score big bucks and big buckets in the Garden, they welcome that. Yes, they want their Knicks to win, but they welcome to witness history in their building. And this is why so many players of that statute excel when they go into the Mecca. They look forward. Oh shit, this is my game, man. If I'm hot, beat me, man. Don't play. Yeah, don't play with me. This is the Mecca now. And I'm just afraid that Charles Lee will screw Lamelo up if he was in New York. I don't think he will allow him to just ooh out a crowd for 48 minutes of basketball. I just don't see it.
Just let Jalen Brunson close the deal, huh?
Nick, how you doing?
Hey, how y'all doing?
I'm sorry, y'all. We'll keep going.
How y'all doing? I'm doing good. I just got off work, so I just want to chime in real quick.
Talk to us, man. It's an honor to have you tonight. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I want to say a little thing, something small, but Lonzo, if it's about his offensive, input, I would, if somebody would bring him in, just tell him, hey, we need your defense and your offense. We need both. We need you to be a threat out there. So in the playoffs, they don't want to lock down their other one or two best players, and then you got to be able to go off too. So at best, there's nothing else to that. But I have thoughts about the whole tanking thing. Have y'all got into that yet, or you haven't talked about that yet?
We can get into it. Talk to us.
I'm going off of what maybe Sean may have said. They say the teams who are bad, they say they're locked in for whatever pick they're going to get. They're the worst teams, and they're locked into the lottery, regardless if it's like 1 through 10 or whatever. Let's say if you have, it would be a crazy scenario if you're 25 games left, you need 21 to get you into playoffs, and you're going to run, and whether you win or lose, you get to the finals, and you still have a top pick. So what is that? How would that work out?
Well, I'm gonna answer this. I'm gonna let Dex come from behind me. Pause. What I will say is, before I get into that in particular, this guy Adam Silver is doing a lot of changes. I don't agree with all of them. The All-Star game was a complete clusterfuck. But what I was confused, and I was watching it at a restaurant at a bar, and I didn't know what the hell's going on. But now let's get to what you just said. I think that this could potentially be discussed, and I understand what's going on, because all this going to do is potentially give the Lakers or somebody the number 1 pick. This is what all this dumb shit is for, to give the top player so he can go to this big market. I just think this is all dumb shit that's going on, and they disguise it under something crazy. But what I will say is the tanking, man. They forcing hands. Even with the All-Star game, these people going out there BSing. Not even playing. Seriously, nobody's even tickets ain't selling. Shit ain't selling out. I like that the energy is being reciprocated. So like I said, this is what's going on. You're forcing people hand when you're not competing, and you go in here, you're going to tank away games. The Sixers completely destroyed everything. So you have teams that may say, fuck it, let's just quit now. What the hell is a couple games left, man? It's time to bottom out. Look at the Bucks, for instance. Giannis, he might be healthy, but they got 1 foot in, 1 foot out. We might as well just tank and get a damn pick. Let's that'll regroup us for next year. These just sick thoughts that's going on in their heads. So Adam Silver is being forced, I think, in my opinion. But I just think that this is going to be another bad idea. They need to go back to East versus West. If they don't want to play, then forget about it. And this situation, it got to be another way. I don't know 100% as I'm going off the top of my head. I'd be good to really dive into a little bit more. But off the top of my head, that's my thoughts on it. Dex, what do you think about this whole tanking situation and what Adam Silver has been proposing?
I think it's absolutely dreadful and god awful at its nature. It's supposed to be a competitive sport. You've been competitive all your life, and you have to be super competitive to even be amongst the 400 selected to the NBA or get into the NBA, however you get into it. And you compete at every level. So once you get into the NBA and you become part of a franchise, then they ask you not to compete. I just think that's diabolically debauchery. And then they point at the players because these people, they're part of the media and they got a lot of cachet with the media, these billionaire owners or these billionaire corporation that owns teams. And it's all about the dollar. And a lot of the media don't want to address the elephant in the room when it comes to tanking, because that's stepping on some billionaire opportunity to become more of a billionaire. And I just think it's silly, because the NBA, as a billionaire club that it is, billionaires supposed to be competitive, right? That's what capitalism is all about. Competition, best goods for the best services. That's what people will buy and or buy into. And so why all of a sudden that they want to cheat? Because that's what that is. It's cheating. And then you deny the player of competing, and then his stats go down, right? Because you're sitting players, coaches, and juggling the roster. So a lot of people's stats go down. So when it comes time to negotiate their contract, they can't get the big bucks because, oh man, we didn't do anything. Yeah, you average 19 points, but we only won 16 games. And that wasn't because of that player or his effort he was put out on the court. That was a political decision. And now he faces devastating results. And this is not right. And I just think it's awful and it's hurtful to the league. And that's why they extended the play-in situation to prevent some of the tanking. So when teams don't get off to a good start, they have a second opportunity in the second half of the season to get the 8th seed or the 9th seed. Because that's the only seed that was added to the play-in was the 8th and 9th seed. The 7th and the 8th seed was already in place for the original playoff round robin. They added 4 more teams, 8th and 9th in each conference, to bring a little more competitive spirit to some of the bottom teams who will probably lose that competitive edge because they think they're out of the postseason hunt. And so what more can you do when teams are still tanking? Would you want to add 2 more teams to each conference? Instead of 10, you're going to make it 12 in each conference to prevent that, so they can have an opportunity to play in the postseason and keep up the competition? I don't know. This is why you have a salary cap, to prevent a hegemony. You have a salary cap to prevent the big boys staying the big boys and the little boys staying the little boys. So the salary cap supposed to neutralize the big markets and help elevate the smaller markets, because they both playing at the same financial rate and teams still want to tank. So I don't know how you get out of that fight. And like I said, these owners have put a lot of money into these teams, and it's very difficult, and it's somewhat of a conundrum for Adam Silver to tell these billionaires stop cheating. And when this is supposed to be for profit, hey, I'm making a profit. What you mean? I'm not going to beat Houston Rockets. I'm not going to beat Orlando. I'm not going to beat Sacramento. You follow what I'm saying? I'm not going to beat these big teams and these really good teams that's put together. I'm not going to beat them. So why keep pushing money into a product that is not going to develop into a winner? So I have to fall back, save money, take a little bit, feed the people hope, and hopefully I can turn a profit, because I'm not going to beat some of these better teams, and I'm not going to throw in a ton of money to try to do so. So it's a conundrum for Adam Silver, and he have to figure it out. Just like Dave Stern had to figure it out. But Dave Stern was like, you know what? I'm going to put in a rule. If you don't get a certain amount of wins, you don't qualify for revenue share.
Yeah, that would
So
suck for the members for sure. They would get their attention.
What you say?
The whole profit sharing, that could be something that can get their attention for real. Because honestly, I would pick it back on that. I would say for these young players, they're on the small market teams, the teams that are not used to winning a lot. If I'm one of these players or a lot of these players, I would just tell my teammates, like, forget about tanking. I don't care what the coach say. I don't care what the owner say, general manager. We're going to try to compete next year. Don't care if there's a generational talent or not. We here now, and I want to compete right now to see what we really got. Because you don't really know what you got, because you're always telling them to sit down or you don't play them.
Well, you know,
Guarantee them.
I got another thing. This is a hypothesis. I don't mean to cut you off. They use the NBA and the players and the coaches and everybody, the voting, shit. Why don't they turn this into, who's the worst team in basketball? I'm just saying, I'm just saying, you could look right now and determine, yo, man, this team sucks. Like, for instance, okay, who possibly deserves a number one pick? I know that people looking at Washington like, man, these guys they're gonna be a problem next year. But yo, they look like probably the worst team in basketball this year, or who else possibly? I'm thinking who's out there. You know who's some of the worst teams? Indiana,
No.
Maybe Indiana. You know who should be rewarded the number one overall pick. So I'm just saying, why don't they create some shit like that? Where a team.
they had that already.
Well, no, you talking about the team that's the worst team statistically, but a team that, oh man, they tanked. When Zion was coming, they had Fizdale and everybody. They just blew that fucking season. They weren't even trying to play. They deliberately went to lose. So the teams like that need to get fucked over. But a team that played for real, is man, they just didn't have it. It was a couple times where the Hornets, man, they deserved that pick, man. They should have got Wembanyama.
No, man. Hell
Man, they
no.
should have
Hornets
got
don't deserve shit.
man.
They don't deserve anything. You have to earn it. I'm tired of all this welfare
Come
stuff.
on, man. San Antonio, first time back in the lottery, they scored a number. That shit
Yeah,
was
but that's NBA welfare. That's not fair. It's still not fair. I don't care who got it. Just like how the Lakers got Magic Johnson or James Worthy. That wasn't fair. A fucking coin flip. You get a player that just won a national championship coming out of college, one of the toughest teams in all of NCAA. Big game James. Come on, man. You think that's fair? How we know it was right? How we know it went the right way? Because it was done behind closed doors. It wasn't done on national TV live.
You got a point there. I mean, how I feel is you should turn into a voting system where the worst teams in basketball.
Nope.
That's how I feel. Maybe you have another system.
Yeah. No, the system is in place. It's cool. You get a percentage. That you get the highest percentage, but it's no guarantee.
Yeah, but but how you get a team like Dallas who kind of had 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and they end up with Cooper Flag? I think that something's wrong with that.
I mean, listen, all of it's rigged, right? Patrick Ewing. You think that wasn't rigged? Going to New York, coming out of Georgetown, big man, and that's all New York needed really was a big man, and they get Patrick. Come on, you see what I'm saying? I think all of it's rigged, but I mean, I don't really care too much about the riggedness, because you still got to play. You still got to get out there and perform. And there's other people other players are trying to stop you from winning. That's what it's all about. So
Like, for
if you go,
instance, I
go
don't
ahead.
mean to cut you off, Dax. What about Lonzo going to the Lakers number 2? The Lakers
I don't
wanted
think that was
Lonzo.
rigged.
How
I
they
don't think
ended
that
up
was
with the
rigged
second pick in that
because
draft.
you got to know what the Lakers was god awful. They only won what 16 games that season, or
But it seemed
17
like
games.
everything was in position for them to get the player they wanted. You know, some teams don't got that luxury.
Well, you got to remember Boston had the number 1 pick. That's where you need to focus on. How in the hell Boston
Yeah,
get the number 1 pick?
but Lonzo
They're
never
big
was
market.
projected as the number 1 player. It was
Yes, he
always
was.
Markelle Fultz.
No, it was back and forth. You know, some say Markelle, some say Lonzo. You follow what I'm saying? The only reason why I think Markelle, because I think he played more years in college, and Lonzo was one and done. I think Markelle played what? Did he play 2 years?
I don't know, but he was the consensus number 1 pick. I
Yeah,
mean, no matter what, it was
eventually.
saying he was the number 1 player, even though that was straight bullshit.
Yeah, eventually. But it was like some circles say Lonzo, some circles. Even they had Jason Tatum kind of fiddling around, could possibly be number 1 overall. But nevertheless, you had 3 major markets, right? 3 teams that sucked. You had Boston, you had Lakers, and you had Philly. 3 major markets. 1, 2, and 3. Think about that. And you had a decent draft class coming out. And Markelle Fultz headlining that draft class. Because Markelle Fultz was a beast in college. You can't forget that. You know what I'm saying? He was basically unstoppable in college. And it was like a one-man wrecking crew. But anyway, that was suspicious. So it's not just the Lonzo Lakers, but the Boston and Philly traded, right? They traded positions. They switched positions. But they still was 1, 2, and 3. Boston didn't get out of the top 5. They stayed in the top 5. So that was suspicious. These 3 major markets, 1, 2, and 3. How often do you get that in a lifetime in basketball? 3 major markets at the same time? And these major markets need a spark? So, I mean, you know, it's always some shenanigans going on in the draft. But like I said, I don't care because you still got to get on the court and play, regardless. And these major markets are bringing in so much revenue to the NBA because the NBA is a private entity. And so these major markets are bringing so much revenue to the NBA through sponsors and advertising that they have to remain good. The only how the Lakers could be good and Boston could be bad is the Lakers are super good, and vice versa. But if both of them are bad, then something got to change because these are legacy franchise. And even Philly can't be bad and Boston be bad in the East Coast at the same time. Something got to change. Philly got to get something. Boston got to get something. We got to elevate these major markets because Philly is a legacy franchise as well. Not as much as Boston or Lakers, but you know, Philly used to be the black team of the East Coast, while the Lakers were the black team of the West Coast. Don't forget that. All the blacks used to cheer for Philly to beat Boston, but Philly couldn't do it. So then they switched over to LA. When they play in the championship, all the blacks go to LA and cheer for LA to beat Boston. Sometimes Lakers won, sometimes Boston won, but the Lakers won majority of them. If you want to keep it socially engineered real, that's a historical fact because you have white folks cheering for Boston, of course, and you have black folks cheering for Philly, black folks cheering for LA to beat Boston. One of them got to beat Boston. So happens the Lakers was able to do it. So Philly lost a lot of global fans, not their local fans, but a lot of global fans because they wanted Dr. J to beat Larry, and Dr. J couldn't do it. So they went to Magic, and Magic was able to do it. So that's how you get that, and how the Lakers get so much bandwagon on their fan base is because how the commissioners set that up with the Magic and the Bird, and then set up Dr. J versus the Bird. You feel me? Everybody loved Dr. J. Dr. J had the afro. Dr. J represented Black Power. You know what I'm saying? He could throw up that fist. You know, New York cat. Had the little gangster kind of tone to Dr. J. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't no chump. And he was a high flyer. And it was very exciting to watch coming from the ABA into the NBA. And they wanted Dr. J to champion for the black fan base. But Larry Bird was just too much for him. The Boston Celtics was just too much for Philly. And Philly had an awesome team. But the Lakers, on the other hand, West Coast team, La La Land, finesse, was able to do it. And that's how you get so many bandwagoners or liberals to represent the Lakers fan base. And you got the conservatives and a lot of Caucasians representing the Boston fan base. So it was all about the controversy to make money. And that's what makes money, controversy. You love them, you hate them, regardless. That's what they want. You love them, you hate them, regardless. That's what you want. And the two biggest teams that generated that type of energy was Lakers and Boston, because Philly was disqualified because they just couldn't beat Boston. Boston used to tear in their ass. Pause. They couldn't beat them. So the draft and the lottery is basically the best solution mathematically, because regardless of how much you tank, you're not guaranteed to get that golden ball. You have a higher percentage, but you're not guaranteed. That's why I say, why would you vote for who's the worst team? That doesn't make sense, because you're not discouraging tanking.
I'm sorry to butt in. I wouldn't be surprised if even if you gave the players a chance to choose to be involved in the vote. You don't think even the top tier teams wouldn't vote for their team to be number one to get another prospect? OKC is loaded with picks, and it's like they could easily be top 3-5 picks too. So, but that's different. That's a different method, but I don't think they'll ask the players to do any kind of voting. So,
well, the reason why, answering Nate, the reason why other pro teams don't do it like that is because there's not really a salary cap, especially in baseball. And then baseball has a farm system. Even though you get the number one overall pick, whether it's out of high school or college, they go to a farm system to develop. Then they get pulled up. You have to be really, really good, like the Durrell Strawberries of the world. You have to be so good to come straight out of high school and get a starting spot on a major league team, because there are politics in that as well. That's why they make you go through a farm league, because the veterans that's already there, they done paid their dues. And they don't want to see no young rook coming out of high school or a couple of years in college taking some veteran's paycheck and possibly displacing that veteran family from that city that veteran was rooted in. So there's politics in that as well. But it's a different kind of politics. That's why you don't have to have a lottery in a lot of those other leagues, because there's not a salary cap. But by being a salary cap, they try to keep it balanced so smaller markets can compete for talent. Baseball is the biggest bucks win. You see what the Dodgers have done the last 2 seasons. And prior to the Dodgers, it used to be the Yankees. I think San Diego Padres tried it. It didn't work for them. Who was that other team that tried? Boston. Boston did it, and they won a couple of World Series. But Boston was like, you know what? We ain't spending that much money no more. We're just going to do what we got to do.
Me personally, I'm glad that my team won, the Texas Rangers. So I'm just glad that they at least got one this decade. Because I remember years ago, they were terrible. They were close twice.
Yeah, they were close, yeah.
And it was
manager? What was the black manager name? Remember the black manager they had? The real skinny dude? He got him close. I forgot his name, though. I used to like that dude. But he got him close, but they just couldn't get over the hump. The Dodgers beat him in the World Series 1 year.
Mm-hmm. And then I think the Cardinals, they lost to St. Louis Cardinals.
The Cardinals. That's what Cardinals. Yeah. What was that? You don't remember the black manager's name for the Texas Rangers?
No, I don't remember. I I remember what he looked like, but I don't know his name. I have
Yeah.
to look him up.
Okay. Yeah. And the Texas Rangers had a really good team. I liked it, that one picture. It was so cool for the Texas
Mhm.
Rangers. What's his name? Alejandro
Alejandro.
Alex Rodriguez.
Oh yeah, he was a superstar. It's just
Yeah, he
he
was.
needed
That dude
a
was so
hand
cool,
on the
man.
team
Alejandro
to really
Rodriguez,
lift
Alex
that
Rodriguez.
team up. He needed help.
Yeah. Washington, that's the name.
Yeah, Alex
Washington, you're right.
Rodriguez was great.
Here's his name. Washington, yeah. Coach Washington. Yeah, that was a good team. What was that, 2005, 2006? When it
I
was
think it
really,
was
really good?
2012. It was around the time I had my place. Hold on.
Yeah, I remember that Ranger team, man. It was really good, but they just couldn't get who they couldn't beat. Was it Seattle they couldn't beat? Was it somebody they just couldn't beat, man? Or was it the Angels? Was it the Angels? It might have been the Angels. It might have been the Angels. They just couldn't get past the Angels. I knew it was a West Coast team that they just couldn't get past. And then the
I
Yankees.
think it was the Angels and the St. Louis Cardinals. They just couldn't beat them, so
They
it
couldn't
was all
beat 'em,
right.
yeah.
You know, and
It was the
eventually they
Angels.
did turn around
I
and
remember.
get one.
Yep, I
And I'm
remember.
just happy they did.
Yep, they finally did get one. But the Dodgers was just too much for them. When the Dodgers beat them in that pandemic year, they were just too overwhelming for the Rangers. The Rangers really didn't have a chance, and they were just even lucky to be there.
Mhm.
But
All
yeah,
right.
Coach Washington. Yeah, I like Coach Washington. It was a trip. He was a good coach, good manager, not coach, good manager.
Yeah. Let me backtrack just a little bit. With the what's his name, Lamelo. Yeah, he's doing good. I'm glad they won today. But what do you think will happen next year with Lonzo? What
You know
team
what?
do you think he'll go to?
Before I came to the stream, I tried to get in contact with his camp, and they did respond. Thanks for responding, because I haven't talked to him in I don't know how long. And they just said, I don't know. I said, when Lonzo going to sign with a team? That's all I asked. When Lonzo going to sign with a team? It was like they haven't heard anything. That's from people that's close to Lonzo.
Mm-hmm.
But I heard murmurs and whispers that Magic and Lonzo could reunite. Of course, Lonzo will come back in a lesser role, and he have to earn his way up the roster. But that's just, tiptoe whisper.
We need
Not
like a
nothing really solid.
CEO year to come back and just like help a team out for real, and hopefully, you know what? I want him to walk away with at least one championship. I want him to go out that way because I know
That's
the
gonna be
injury
hard.
was terrible. It slowed him down. It really cut into his prime. But I really, really hope he does, find a team that he can win a championship with before he walks away, or if he had to. If nothing else, I would love to see him, play with his brother, and
That's the best chance, really, to try to play with Lamelo. But the only thing about that's another elephant in the room, is that Melo could be out of Charlotte next season. This is why, according to the streets, I'm gonna say it like this. According to the street, this is why Lamelo is pushing to get into a postseason, because that has never been done under his stewardship.
Mhm.
He has never been able to chaperone the Charlotte into a postseason. The only person that have done that, they did it collectively. And the one who spearheaded, if you want to isolate a player, that would be Miles Bridges. So Miles Bridges is kind of under the radar right now. And all of the glorification is on Lamelo. So it's up to Lamelo. You know what I'm saying? Lamelo fault is this. Lamelo get praises for that. Because as soon as Lamelo do something good, it's all over the place, right? You can't go nowhere on any kind of social platform and not see Lamelo highlights or someone speaking about Lamelo when he does something terrific and exciting. And it's the same if he defaults and do something and it falters the organization and is detrimental for that situation.
Hey, Doug, I'm so
Same
sorry. I
thing.
have to jump off. Something important came up. I have to get off the live. Thank you so much. I'll see you
Okay.
guys next time.
All right. Thank you for coming up. And so to continue, it's difficult for Lonzo to get on a winning franchise that's contending is because what he did in Cleveland. I mean, that was a disaster. And nobody wants to repeat that. So that's why it behooves Lonzo to get on maybe a mid-tier team and fight it out with them. But Cleveland was a contender. They came into the season with aspirations and strong ambitions to get into the Eastern Conference Finals and hopefully represent the Eastern Conference in the NBA Finals, NBA Championship game. That was their goal. And they fell short last season. And they cheated themselves. So they go out and get DeAndre Hunter. They go out and get Lonzo. You follow what I'm saying? And I think they got somebody else. Was it Ware? Did they pick up Ware? Got some couple of good draft picks in Proctor and Tyson. And so, and Nance, and they picked up Nance. So they thought they was fully loaded and prepared to take on the Eastern Conference this season. And coming out the gate, it was all right, but you saw some flaw. Then all of a sudden, midway in the first half of the season, it was a debacle. Cleveland was barely playing 500 basketball, and I think at one point they was under 500. So that couldn't continue. So heads have to roll. And some are just collateral damage. Others are just casualties of war. That happens. That's why you can't approach it like you deserve to be there because you're you. You can't approach it as an elitist. You got to put in work. And it's not your past work. It's what Janet Jackson said. What have you done for me lately? NBA. And now, contending teams is looking at Lonzo as, I don't know if we want to bring him in because it didn't work in Cleveland. And you know they're going to call the general manager and ask him what happened with Hunter, what happened with Garland, what happened with Lonzo. If teams are interested in picking him up that are competing for a postseason status, they're gonna inquire. And if the news come back unfavorable, they're gonna just move on. Because there's no way that Lonzo should be teamless. Right? Because what Lonzo can bring to a team, not what he's done in Cleveland, but what he can bring to a team is more positive than negative. Teams right now don't care about locker room posture. We don't care if you're a good guy in the locker room. We don't give a shit. We want you to be a manimal out there on that hardwood. We want you to give it all you got. Do not bring anything back through these corridors. We want you to barely be breathing when the game is over because you gave it all you got and you left it out there on the court. As Kevin Durant said, let me die out here. That's the type of mind path you want from a player. Not someone that's going to score a couple of points because the team kind of berate you a little bit. Oh, man, you suck, man. You didn't get no points. Oh, come on, man. That was back in high school. Man, you ain't like that now. And then you go and prove them wrong by scoring 16 points in the first half. And then be like, I'm good. I told you I can get more than 10. And then you don't score no more. You don't contribute to scoring anymore. You might contribute in other areas. That's not happening in today's basketball. That ain't what they thoroughly looking for. They want you to play some good defense and be solid, but you ain't got to be the best defender on the team. They want you to put up points. This is what the NBA is breeding. They're breeding scorers. They scoff at defensive specialists. Ain't nobody touting Rudy Gobert, Chet Holmgren, Giannis Antetokounmpo. They tout Giannis Antetokounmpo because his fierceness and he is tenacious when he's determined to get to that basket. Not because he's a good defensive player. Bobby Portis, G.G. Jackson. That's cool. You can win the Defensive Player of the Year and become part of the All-NBA team. But that ain't what people paying big money for. They're not paying big money for that. You get a decent contract. But if you're trying to get these $200 million, $300 million contract, you got to put that ball or that peel in the bucket. And you got to do it constantly. So that means you got to be clever. And every dribble is calculated. Because like I said earlier, as a working man who has a job and have to be accountable for what I do for 9 to 5, in order for me to pay my bills and live the type of lifestyle that I live. And it used to be luxurious, but I kind of tamed my lifestyle a little bit because I got grandkids now. It ain't just my daughter out there. Like, she got grandkids. And everything is recorded. And you got Instagram, TikTok, and X, Faces, and Reddit, and all kind of stuff, right? So you gotta, simmer down and be a better reflection to your grandkids. So they can't say, well, you did it. You was doing it. No, you can't say I'm doing it because you never see it. And I don't talk about it. So is the NBA. You have to be accountable, man. You can't depend on everybody else scoring. That's like being at work in a warehouse. And you collect all of the forklifts, you collect all of the hand jacks, you collect all of the brooms and dustpan, and you start passing them out to your coworkers. Okay, that's cool. All right, thanks, Dex. I don't have to look for anything. But sooner or later, they're gonna be like, "Hey, man, when you gonna get on the forklift? When you gonna unload some of this stuff or stack some of this stuff? When you gonna sweep up the floor? You understand what I'm saying? When you gonna take that hand jack and go into that frozen refrigerator area and put up the meat or frozen goods? All you do is passing out equipment, and you on the same level as we. You getting paid warehouse dollars. I'm getting paid warehouse dollars. So we're supposed to be doing the same thing. So why you just want to pass out equipment, and then once equipment is passed out, you think your job is done? That's not the mind path of the NBA. You got to put in your work. Because sometimes I get tired. And I might want a break, but I don't want to go to the bench and take the break. I might want a couple of breaks in possessions. Because I'm playing my ass off. And when if I get an opportunity, then that's when you step up. So coach don't have to call timeout. That's part of being a leader. And that's leadership on the floor, right? And so these are things that some of these young players got to realize when they're called upon. Don't pass out the equipment every damn day and thinking that you ain't got to use the equipment. That's such a good gesture that you just want to pass out the equipment and stop. That means that we don't have to go looking for it because you already got it ready for us. But then once the equipment is passed out, you think your job is done, and you thought you done a good deed, and everybody's satisfied because you ain't trying to get on nobody's equipment. Nah, find you some equipment, man, and go to work. put that pill in the bucket. Stop playing with these people, man. Salute to the stream. Shout out to Flight Sports TV, the machine, the voice of the voiceless, the people's champ, the hottest in the streets. Shout out to the chat, man. The chat is very engaging, very thought-provoking, and I really appreciate it because you present a real decent challenge, and it's morally coded in good behavior in the chat. So salute to you for your decorum in that subsection. Shout out to all the chatters. Okay, Unique, I'm going to see what you got to say here. My last comment for Lamelo Ball is I believe he needs this run to get to the playoff, build some more cachet with the team to even ask for his brother Lonzo or LiAngelo. Well, I think LiAngelo might be a done deal. I don't think LiAngelo is really trying to get back into the NBA. He got a lucrative contract, and he enjoying getting up at any time of the day and able to get to the studio anytime that he feels like it. He's been traveling. Pretty soon he's going to travel internationally with the music, go international concert tour. But right now he's focusing on his second album, and he just released the first single from that second album, in Backyard. It's been playing in the NBA. LeBron James reposted it. Lonzo been posting it. So, people been very receptive to the song Backyard. He shot a video for it. And that video should be out soon, if not already out. I think it was supposed to be out today. I think today at 9 p.m. or something like that. So, I don't know. Check World Star. It might be on there. So, yeah, LiAngelo, I think he's going to be full-blown rapper. His basketball days are over. And then, once you get out of that atmosphere of the politics of basketball, you feel relieved that you're no longer in it. Because it is a heap of politics, to be honest with you. And then all the idiosyncrasies that these general managers have, sometimes if you're already a millionaire successful, you don't want to be a part of that. You don't want to be a part of someone else's strange behavior and superstition and things of that nature. So they want to, well, not they, LiAngelo want to extricate himself from this atmosphere and just be an observer, a fan, and then trying to participate. Because like I said, the idiosyncrasies from some of these executives is very etchy and superstitious. And you don't want to be a part of that when they already is placing a dark cloud over you and keep suggesting you to jump through hoops. And now I got a strong revenue stream from my music, what makes me an entrepreneur. I'm my own boss. Nobody got to micromanage me. Nobody got to tell me to do this or tell me to do that. I only get advice and suggestions, not demands and commands. It's a refreshing thing, especially when you sitting on tens of millions of dollars. So LiAngelo days, I think it's over. I mean, nobody said this, but just watching and knowing the rigmarole of being an employee. And I'm 57 years old, so I've been working since I was 18 out of 17 out of high school, graduated at 17 years old. I've been working since I was 17. I had a few times where I was unemployed or what we consider intellectually in between jobs. But the majority of my life, I've been working, man. I've been a working man. And I've been under somebody else's command. Even though I've been a a quality control person or manager, I still have somebody above me. Because once I submit my report on the quality of the product and put my stamp of approval for that product to be distributed, I still have somebody over me looking at my work or asking me if I filled my quota, you know? So that's how it goes sometimes. And so I think LiAngelo, he has a sense of freedom, money, women at his disposal, time to go see his children, you know, whenever he's not busy. Nobody can tell him he can't come or he's not permitted to leave. There's no such thing as an AWOL for him, right? So he's nobody can charge him for AWOL because he's not under nobody's dictation. Lonzo, on the other hand, is different. But what I'm watching with Lonzo, it seems like Lonzo has fell in love with Zoe career. Jello career. He's amazed at his younger brother and the prosperity of LiAngelo in a field that most people didn't expect LiAngelo to excel in. Most of us saw LiAngelo as a sharpshooter on a team playing with one of his brothers. That's what we saw, man. Not so much isolated on the team, but playing with one of his brothers. That's what we had envisioned. And to our surprise, that's why you say you never know how life may turn. But be prepared, right? Isn't the definition of success preparation meets opportunity? Right? Preparation meets opportunity equals success. Be prepared for the opportunity, and when the opportunity comes, you prepare. You're not ill prepared. You prepare, and that way, your discipline during your during your preparation could yield you success when the opportunity comes. That's why they say work when nobody's looking. Work in the dark. Shadow work. These are motivational terms that we hear from a lot of these motivational speakers. That's shadow work. Doing it when nobody's watching because it's you and you want to be prepared for success because you are eager and passionate to be successful. When you have that mind path, success can be right at your fingertips. But if you're not prepared and you get an opportunity, now you dealing with luck. See, that's luck now. Ill prepared, still granted an opportunity. Now, in order for you to be successful in that equation, you're going to need a lot of luck and assistance because you wasn't prepared. So the main thing is to move forward, ascend to heights, but be prepared for it. Because other than that, you're dealing with luck. And we already know the story of Lady Luck. I think Frank Sinatra or Dean Martin gave us the story of Lady Luck. So, yeah. And that's why I'm shocked at Lonzo because I thought he was prepared because I'm going by the clips that I'm looking at with him and Charles Johnson and the Clutch Sports team. The way he was working out, coming back off that devastating injury It wasn't catastrophic, but it was devastating. And he came back. He did okay. Everybody was cheering for him, you know. Whether you liked him or you didn't like him, you kind of cheered for him a little bit. Maybe a tear might have dropped because most people had written him off as the what was the other kid that had the surgery but didn't come back? Was it Rudy Gay? Who was that guy? But anyway, another NBA player, a hockey player, and a few other non-celebrity athletes didn't come back from that kind of a surgery. And they thought Lonzo would fall in the same bracket of being unsuccessfully returning to the NBA and being competitive. He proved them wrong. He came back and did pretty good, right? For Chicago, he did pretty good. And that's where I think he made his mistake. Because whatever Chicago told him on his return, he accepted it. He accepted those terms of agreement, even though he was already under contract. I believe he should have told Chicago, look, man, the team is young. They need veteran leadership. They need direction. Allow me to lead the best way I know how. And maybe Clutch Sports is at fault too, because I'm quite sure Clutch Sports verbalized. Be cautious. Because you're treading an unfamiliar territory in Lonzo's knee, the reconstruction of his knee, where a cadaver cartilage was inserted and amalgamated into his tissue and ligaments. So tread softly. So the minute restriction, which is normal. But once Lonzo felt he was good, I think he should have barked back at Chicago to play significant minutes. Maybe not the minutes he played prior to his injury, but significant minutes. And on back-to-back nights, once he got healthy, play, but maybe not. Maybe that could be a minute restriction, the back-to-back night, but still be able to play, still be available to play. But he's missing back-to-backs. Now, I'm not talking about when he first came back. I'm talking about once he got into the groove and the season progressed and he's dunking and he's running up and down the court and he's catching alley-oops. Okay. Chicago seen this, fans seen this, and a lot of fans felt that maybe he should try more minutes and be more involved. Because if you're not out there in the trenches, it's hard for the foot soldiers to listen. That's why you got your sergeants and even lieutenants out there in the trenches to direct the soldiers. You know, them commanders out there. You ain't got no generals, but you got commanders. And you probably have a colonel come as a walkthrough. But you definitely got a chain of command of leadership and authority right there with you in them foxholes. And you're apt to listen to them because they're experienced in warfare and they're trained to get you back to your family. And Lonzo probably should have had that approach in Chicago once he felt he can catch alley-oops and dunk and block shots and things of that nature. Because if you just sit back and reserve, remember I talked about the billionaires? They have a certain mind path. And if you're not like mine, even though you don't have what they have, but if you're not of like mine, they don't want you around. So if you think you can come back and not try to get back into full form under my dime, under my watch, we ain't having it. You can do that somewhere else, partner. You just want to pass out the equipment. Now we need you on the equipment, and we need you to be productive with the equipment. So take that to the next major market in Cleveland and Ohio. See how well that worked. And it didn't. So I'm quite sure once Alonzo gets back on the team, his mind path will be different and it'll be diligent. That's what I believe. Because sometimes we just be in such of a status that we could become elitists and don't even realize we becoming elitists. We can just think we got the right to this because we're so used to having the right to this. And we forget competition is at all levels. You can't get comfortable. Because once you get comfortable, there's another scat cat trying to get your position. Because there's only so much money that goes around in the NBA, right? There's only so much money allowed it in the NBA. So you have to have an arbitrary mind path to realize how you're going to get yours. And the only way you can actually get yours if you get it from somebody else who abdicated their right to have it due to their flaws. So that $20 million that Lonzo laid on the table in Chicago, it's still available, but it's going to be for somebody else. That $20 million in 2 years or $10 million per, it's still available in Cleveland, but they're going to give it to somebody else. The money didn't go nowhere. It's been arbitrated to somebody else. And that's what happens. Even when they trade a megastar, that money that megastar was going to make, like say for instance, Darius Garland, it was due a decent bag. That bag is going to be there. But probably Mobley would get it. If Darius Garland is going to get it, he'll have to get it somewhere else. And if he goes to a team and there's no open for that bag, then he's going to have to get the next thing available of the highest price. And sometimes that can just be saddening to a person who was in line on one team because he was drafted by that team, in line for that bag, and now he got to get it somewhere else, and somebody else is in that slot. And you don't think that that person that's already in that slot, that you come into that team, that they not aware that you're coming for that bag because you felt you was due it in your previous team? This is how the NBA works, man. This is the inner workings of the NBA. It's a dog-eat-dog world. You can't be a nice guy. This is why LeBron have so much controversy. This is why Kevin Durant have so much controversy. They may appear to be nice guys, but behind the scene, it's a dog-eat-dog world, man. I gotta get my cream. CREAM. Cash rules everything around me. How you gonna be a billionaire and still bouncing a basketball? How you gonna be a billionaire still in uniform as a player? You got more money than anybody in the executive staff except the owner. You tell me they know he's a nice guy. You know what they say in business, nice guys finish last. And in the streets, they say nice guys finish last. So Lonzo gotta get off that nice guy shit, man. That PC shit. That's not gonna cut it, man. We got too much activity amongst celebrities and influencers. I won't call them celebrities, I call them influencers. That's showing you so much. And this nice guy stuff is for the birds. I'm not saying being a dickhead or asshat. All I'm saying is that be ruthless in your pursuit of greatness. Take no shorts. If it don't behoove you, don't let it move you. If it don't behoove you, don't let it move you. It makes no sense. Please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss one iota of an exuberant experience here at Flight Sports TV. Thank you once again for collaborating with us and becoming a part of the stream and making the stream a success. We appreciate you for that. All the chatters, we appreciate your engagement to help improve the trending of the algorithm for Flight Sports TV and his partner, YouTube. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate it. Is that Uncle Vern? Yeah, that's Uncle Vern, huh? Shout out to Uncle Vern, man. I haven't heard from you in eons. That's what's up, Uncle. I wish you could have came up and shared a few words about the Charlotte Hornets and their situation. Look like they're going to be headed to the postseason. But maybe next time. So everybody that contribute to the stream, shout out to you. And shout out to not Keith. I don't even know how you pronounce that. Nita Q05 for coming up. She from Dallas, and she had become a part of the stream when we used to talk about the Mavericks with the Kyrie and Anthony Davis situation. And she has been a mainstay ever since. So shout out to her for her contribution and bringing content to the panel. We appreciate it. Once again, another successful stream from Flight Sports TV. We want everyone to be a part of it. Spread the word like gospel. Take it to the mountaintop and let them know Flight Sports TV exists. And this is where they should be.
Flight Sports TV, man. That's my dude. I rolls with him.
You heard what the man said. It's Flight Sports TV.